To solve a multi-step equation, we can follow these steps. The first step is to distribute. Distribute means you'll take the number that's kissing the parentheses and multiply it by both of the terms inside the parentheses. So for number 1, we will do 3 times x and 3 times 4. If there's no number in front of your variable, you can insert a 1. If we have a x box, we have one x box. It's the same thing. So let's do 3 times 1. That's 3. Keep our variable x. And then 3 times 4 is 12. And copy the rest of the equation. Step 2 is to combine like terms. On the left side of the equal sign, we don't have any like terms because one of them has a variable and the other does not. And then on the right side, 27 is all by itself, so there's nothing to combine it with either. So we basically get to skip that step. Next, we have to add or subtract to get the integer away from the variable. So our variable's on the left here. We have that integer 12 with it. We don't want that 12 there. So we're going to do the inverse of addition, and we're going to subtract that 12 to get rid of it. And we have to do the same thing to both sides to keep it balanced. When we subtract the 12 from the left, 12 minus 12 is 0, which is the same as nothing. So we don't need that anymore. But let's keep our 3x. Then on the right, 27 minus 12 is 15. All right, then lastly, we have to multiply or divide to get rid of that coefficient or the number that's with x. So 3x means 3 times x. The inverse is division, so we're going to divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 1x is just x. And then on the right, 15 divided by 3 is 5. So x is equal to 5. All right, let's take a peek at number 2. Our first step is to distribute. I don't see any parentheses though, so we gotta skip that step. All right, step number 2 is to combine like terms. On the left side, we have 6y and 3y. They both have the same variable, so we can combine them together. However, we can't combine the 8 and the 35 because they are on opposite sides of the equal sign. So we're going to keep the 8 on the left, and we'll keep that 35 on the right. All right, so next we have to add or subtract to get rid of that integer. So this side has the variable, and with that we have that 8. We don't want that 8 there. So it currently says plus 8. So the inverse would be to subtract 8. So let's go ahead and subtract 8 from both sides. Oopsies, that 5 disappeared. All right, so when we subtract 8 here, that's 0. 0 is the same as nothing, so we don't need those 8s anymore. But we're still going to keep the 9y. It's a little sloppy. Let me try again. All right, and then on the right-hand side, 35 minus 8, I'm going to count backwards, 27. So 9 times y equals 27. All right, so lastly, we have to multiply or divide to get that variable by itself. It currently says 9 times y. The opposite or inverse of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide both sides by 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 1y is just y. And 27 divided by 9 is 3. So y is equal to 3. All right, let's take a peek at number 3. Step number 1 is to distribute. I'm going to do 4 times each of these terms. 4 times n is 4n. 4 times 9 is 36. And then I'm just going to rewrite the rest of my equation. Our next step is to combine like terms. Let's see, we can combine 36 and 5. 36 plus 5 is 41. And then I'm going to copy everything else. Our next step is to get rid of that integer. So on the side with the variable, we have to get rid of that 41. So we're going to subtract 41. This is worth 0. We don't need it anymore, but we still have 4 times n over here. And on the right, if we have -3 and we go more negative 41 more times, that's -44. And then lastly, we have to multiply or divide. 4n means 4 times n, so we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 1n is just n. And -44 divided by 4 is -11. All right, and the last one, the first step is to distribute. We can distribute here. So we're going to start in the middle of this equation. 5 times k is 5k, and 5 times -2 is -10. Or technically, I could also say 5 times 2 is 10 and then keep the subtraction. And then I'm going to copy the rest of my equation. All right, then we're going to combine like terms. We have -8k plus 5k. Those have the same variable. -8 plus 5. If I start at -8 on the number line and I go to the right closer to 0 5 times, I'll end up at -3. So -3k. And then I'm going to copy everything else. I can't combine these because they're on opposite sides of that equal sign. So I'm just going to copy everything. All right, next I need to get rid of that integer. All right, so our variable is on this side, and I have the integer right here. I need to get rid of that. So I'm going to do the inverse of subtraction, and I'm going to add 10, and I have to do the same thing to both sides. -10 plus 10 is 0, which is nothing, so I don't need that anymore, but I still have -3k on the left. On the right, -34 plus 10. I lost $34, but I found a $10 bill, so now I'm only missing $24. All right, and then lastly, to get that coefficient by itself, it says -3 times k. The inverse of multiplication is division. I have to make sure I divide on both sides. Any number divided by itself is 1, and 1k would be just k. And if I divide over here, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 24 divided by 3 is 8. So k is equal to 8.